Beyond belief, how releasing mental barriers opens the path to real change and natural healing. For generations, people have built their understanding of the world on the foundations of culture, tradition, religion, and spirituality. These frameworks have provided meaning, identity, and community. They have preserved values, explained the unknown, and given structure to human life. Yet in many cases, what begins as guidance can quietly transform into a boundary. When beliefs become rigid, they stop serving as a compass and start functioning as a ceiling. The issue is not belief itself. Belief gives people a sense of orientation in a complex world. The issue arises when belief becomes the endpoint of inquiry rather than the starting point. When a person decides that their current understanding is final, the mind stops exploring. Questions are dismissed. New evidence is ignored. Alternative perspectives are labeled as threats. In that moment, growth stalls, not because the world has stopped changing, but because the mind has decided not to change with it. I have spent years observing this pattern across spiritual, cultural, and religious contexts. The common thread is not the content of the belief, but the function it serves. In many systems, the structure is designed to preserve continuity. Rituals, doctrines, and social norms create stability. That stability is valuable. But when stability becomes resistance to any form of new information, it limits the individual's capacity to adapt. People end up defending a version of reality that no longer aligns with their lived experience. They remain in the same cycles, facing the same challenges, because the framework they rely on does not allow for adjustment. This is not about abandoning tradition or rejecting faith. It is about recognizing that no single system holds all answers. Every philosophy, every teaching, every cultural practice was developed at a specific time, for a specific context, by people who were responding to the limits of their knowledge at that moment. To treat those answers as permanent is to ignore the fact that human understanding evolves. Science advances. Physiology is better understood, and the natural world reveals mechanisms that were once invisible. A mindset that cannot integrate new information eventually becomes obsolete, even if the original intent was to protect and guide. What happens when the mind stays open? You begin to see lessons where you once saw obstacles. Every challenge, every setback, every period of discomfort contains data. If you are willing to examine it without the filter of "this cannot be true because it contradicts what I believe," you start to extract useful insights. Pain becomes a signal, not just a punishment. Stagnation becomes feedback, not fate. The direction of your life starts to align with reality, rather than with a static interpretation of reality. This openness is where many people discover practices that seem unconventional at first glance. One of those practices is barefoot grounding, also known as earthing to someone unfamiliar with it. The concept sounds simple to the point of being trivial. Stand or walk barefoot on natural ground. No supplements, no devices, no complex protocols, because it lacks the complexity people associate with serious interventions. It is often dismissed as ineffective or even irrational. That dismissal is predictable. The mind tends to equate complexity with value and simplicity with irrelevance. Yet the mechanisms behind grounding are grounded in physics and physiology, not mysticism. The Earth's surface maintains a negative electrical potential and serves as a reservoir of free electrons. The human body, when insulated made by rubber soles and synthetic materials, accumulates a positive charge from metabolic processes, environmental exposure, and inflammation. When direct skin contact with the ground is established, electrons flow into the body. This transfer helps neutralize free radicals, which are unstable molecules involved in oxidative stress and chronic inflammation. The consequences of that process are measurable studies, and clinical observations have documented improvements in sleep quality, reductions in cortisol levels, enhanced heart rate variability, and decreased markers of inflammation after consistent grounding sessions. People with chronic pain, poor circulation, and stress-related disorders often report noticeable changes